Hi there, welcome to my channel. My name is Sarah and I am the style coach. If you're new here, you're very welcome. This channel is all about personal style and personal development. So if that is your thing, please make sure to like the video if you enjoyed it, learned something new, and join the community here by subscribing to the channel. If you are a subscriber, welcome back to you as well. You can also join me over on Instagram at thestylecoach.ie or find out more about my online course on my website, thestylecoach.ie. A few weeks ago, I did a video on Sezane and whether it was worth the money, and it turned out to be quite a popular topic, and many of you had questions that I hadn't answered in the video, and so I thought it would be a great opportunity to follow up on those thoughts, on those questions, and get them answered for you. The first thing that many of you commented on was that the quality has changed over time, that the fabrics used to be more pure blends quite a number of years ago, and now they're kind of mixing more, and which generally means that the quality is not what it used to be. Now, my experience of Sezane, I can only speak for shopping there myself over the last maybe 2 years, and I have to say that looking at the materials, which I'll discuss in more detail in just a moment, there is a mixture of pure 100% silk, for example, and also poly blends as well. So there's many different types of blends, but I will get into that. I can't speak to what was present a number of years ago. As I said, I'm only shopping with them in the last 2 years, but it's interesting to note that you feel that the quality is changing and not for the better. I want to talk a little bit more in detail about the composition of the items that I have personally. So I'm going to take a look at the heavier items, the more wool items that I have, and talk about their composition. First thing to say is that they're not 100% anything. They are poly blends. There's a mixture of things there. So straight away, that's an indication that, it's not pure wool or pure whatever. It cheapens the quality a little bit. In both instances here with both jumpers, there is about a third made up of polyamide or polyamide, and this is another name for nylon. Now, nylon is a synthetic fabric. It's very durable. That's the good thing about it. So it's hard wearing. However, it is affected by sunlight or harsh chemicals that can break it down. But otherwise, rubbing and that kind of thing, it's very hard wearing in that way. That kind of reinforces the strength in the fabric overall. The other mixes in both cases, they have a little bit of wool, a little bit of kid mohair. So, that is the majority of the blends. But the good thing is, because these fabrics are quite warm because of the wool blends, you might end up sweating a lot. But the good thing is polyamide absorbs water quite a lot. So it's kind of sweat wicking. It takes the sweat away from the body and absorbs it into the fabric. The downside of that is when you wash it, it takes longer to dry because it does absorb water so much. The blouse I'm wearing today is 100% viscose. So what does that mean? Viscose is made from wood pulp. It is very similar in weight, in look to silk, and it's kind of an alternative to silk. Particularly if you're vegan, you might prefer this over silk because it's obviously silk is produced by animals, by insects, and viscose is a slightly more sustainable approach to creating a silk-like material in that it's made from wood pulp. The good thing about viscose is it's a very breathable fabric, and it's also biodegradable, so that is great in terms of the impact on the environment. Instead of using things like polyester, which is plastics, this is a much more environmentally friendly option. It's not a terribly durable fabric, that's the only thing, so you might experience some more wear and tear than you would with perhaps a cotton material. So for me, if it's 100% viscose, that to me doesn't say low quality. I think it's actually a really good option in terms of offerings, especially if you're somebody who's vegan and doesn't want to have 100% silk. As for these two blouses here, this was the one I was wearing in the other video, so I believe this is the Chloe blouse. Both of these are 100% silk. You can really tell, if you're familiar with how fabrics feel, it's a beautiful weight in the fabric, there's beautiful movement in the fabric, and 100% silk item for €95, €100, I think that's, I think that's quite reasonable, I would say, particularly if you can get 100% viscose at the same price point. So when you say, the blends are changing, the quality is changing, I still see very high quality in the likes of these blouses. So, I'm still on board with the level of quality that Sezane is providing. A question that some of you had as well was, well, how do you care for your garments? For the wool garments like these ones here, I would always follow whatever instructions they tell me. Now, if I'm at all in any doubt about how something will go through a wash, I'll do these wool items on a cold hand wash. I would try to wash them as infrequently as possible without being, getting them dirty. But if it's just a case of, a spot clean, if there's just a small stain on one part of the garment, I'll just do a spot clean rather than cleaning the whole item to preserve the garment itself. It's a similar case for the silk items, so it's recommended that you hand wash these in cold water. As for the viscose item, this blouse, this can go through the wash at 30 degrees. However, I probably still would hand wash it in lukewarm water just to be on the safe side. Another thing that was mentioned in the comments was many of you compared Sezane to Everlane. Now, I've never shopped with Everlane, but I did a little bit of research and I found there's quite a few similarities. I think the price point more or less is on par with Sezane. So if you're in that kind of budget, then it could be an option for you. What I did notice about Everlane was that they seem to have more pure wool or pure silk in many more of their garments than compared to the likes of Sezane. So you may be getting slightly higher quality with Everlane than you may be getting with Sezane. I would say, however, that Everlane will appeal to a different set of people compared to Sezane. I think Sezane would appeal to more of the slightly romantic style of person, whereas Everlane might be more natural, might be more classic in their offerings. So it just might appeal to different people. Many of you wanted to also know about the sizing of each of the garments and how they compared to maybe UK sizes. So I'll talk a little bit about that. The blouse here that I'm wearing is a medium. And just to give a reference, I would usually wear something between like a UK 8 to a UK 10. So I believe that's a US 4 to a 6, I believe. This fits me quite well. I wouldn't want to go any bigger and I certainly wouldn't want to go any smaller. So just to give you a reference, that a medium is coming in around that UK 8 to 10. You will feel pretty comfortable. Now, this is a loose fitting shirt, so it's not fitted tight to my body. But I certainly wouldn't want it any tighter across the bust here. In both the silk blouses, I went for an EU 38, which is the equivalent of a UK 10. And again, I think these are pretty spot on for me. I wouldn't want to go any smaller or any larger. They aren't fitted across the waistline, but across the bust, I certainly wouldn't want them any smaller. And I think that, the arm length, I wouldn't have particularly long or short arms. I have pretty average arm length, and the sleeve length is good for me. Now for the wool items, this is where I saw the difference. So this pale pink one is a medium, it's M, and it fits pretty well everywhere. It's just, I find that some of their wool items are very short in the body length. Now I'm longer in the body than many people, so if you are short-waisted, you're not going to have a problem with this. But if you are long-waisted or long in the torso, then you might find that these are a little bit too short, particularly if you want to wear something that's not high-rise in your trousers. This jumper was the most surprising in its size, so I went for a size small. They do give you extra information on the website. They do say these size large, so go down a size if you want it fitting well. I would pay attention to their recommendations in that sense. So this is a size small. I probably could have gone for an extra small, to be honest. It is very loose fitting, so depending on how you want it to fit on your body, you might want to go for, down 2 sizes, or if you want it fitting more loosely, then go for your normal size and you will get that loose fit. But again, it's very short in the torso, something to keep in mind. That may put me off in future going for the wool items, so they do tend to be short. I like something a bit longer that I can tuck in and play around with. So yeah, but a size small in this particular jumper, it's quite large. So I hope that it has answered your questions that you sent to me in a little bit more detail. I think it's really worthwhile talking about them because, you know, Sezane is not a cheap place to shop by any means. If you're spending your money there, you want to get it right. So always do your research, you know, in terms of how to care for your garment, how what kind of blends are in the garment, and find out as much as possible. That's it for today's video. I do hope you enjoyed it. Thank you so much for watching and for being here, and I'll see you again next week. Take care.